Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Really appreciating you taking time to check out this video. Do what the thing says on the screen. Let me find it. I think it's about right about there. Appreciate you. Now, we did an episode about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and how that finally gave us a chance to really enjoy the sport of skateboarding, and take it into new heights, right? But that's not the first skateboarding game. So I got to make you understand, for me personally, why skateboarding games, we were so desperate for one when Tony Hawk came out. So I'm going to do a two-parter in one episode, though. So I'm going to talk to you about two of the OG skateboard games that I played growing up. This is Skate or Die and 720. So let's start with Skate or Die first, right? Konami made it, Ultra Games, it had all of the flavor and flair of early 90s skateboard culture to some degree, not 100%, right? Couldn't give it all of it. It was still a little watered down, but this was what everybody perceived skateboarding to be. So the cool thing is you have these different modes that you get to do. So not just, street skateboarding or half pipe. So there's a half pipe. There's not really a street one. And it's not the easiest to control. First and foremost, on both 720 and Skate or Die, I cannot remember how to do the half pipe. Now, my brother Ron on Skate or Die used to actually kill it on the half pipe and the high jump. He was good at those parts. The other parts, not so much, but also the game is very hard to control. So forgive me for not being able to show you some of the best moves that you could perform. I'm sure there are people out here who have this game down pat, but I'm not one of them, right? But I always appreciated the different modes it gave you, like the downhill street kind of race where you're going through the obstacle courses. You can knock each other down. Very road rash-ish, right? This is way before we got to games like Road Rash and Skitchin' and things like that, right? But you also have stuff like my favorite game that I also, could actually be decent at was Joust. And it's really kind of weird because one person gets to have the jousting, a pole arm or whatever you want to call it. And you got to knock the other person down within a certain number of tries. Otherwise, they get a chance to knock you down. And the scores are basically very tennis-like, right? You got to win by 2. I think it's the first to 5. And it's a really cool mode, especially if you did multiplayer, because then this is one of the few ones where you play at the same time. Most of the events, even if you put it on multiplayer, you take turns, which always was kind of weird, but I get it, right? But the race one and the jousting, you play at the same time. And essentially you're trying to get the high score on all the events, and it's basically a way for you to compete and pass the controller around. It's a cool idea, it was something. And then we get to 720, and 720 is it controls better, right? But it also still doesn't quite give you what you want. It's weird because the thing on 720 is you kind of have this overworld, this open world type of thing, similar to Skate or Die, except for you have this bar. And if you don't complete these events, or compete in the events, at least in some case for me, then this spirit, or skull and bones spirit or whatever, will come and just, kill you, and you had to start over. So I thought that was always weird. And it used the phrase skate or die when your meter runs out. So I always thought that was are you guys is that a wink to them or a shot at them? I never quite understood it. But the events are a little different. They still have a half pipe that I can't figure out. But then the rest of them are more how fast can you finish? The downhill jump or the big air. All of those are do a thing, jump off of it, and then try to get to the bottom at the same time. Same with the slalom. It's just go through the flags and get to the bottom as quickly as you can. Now, the difference between this and Skate or Die is there are multiple levels where you go and it gets kind of complicated or longer, and it's harder to get the best times, but you can upgrade your equipment. So there were things about both of these games that were really cool. And again, this is why we were so desperate when Tony Hawk came out, is because some games had tried. They tried, right? They were doing as best they could, but they never quite caught, it never quite played as well as we would like. And it was never as intuitive. And also obviously we're talking about the NES to the PlayStation, but just the idea, You know, like we had plenty of games that executed their sport well, like, you know, Double Dribble, you know, RBI Baseball, Blades of Steel, which we need to talk about still. Get it? Anyway, so the idea that sports games could be done on the NES was possible, but these games just didn't quite give us enough. They were still memorable, you know what I'm saying, but just not legendary like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was. So I wanted to just take time to like one, shout these games out at the same time because I couldn't decide between either one, but also kind of give context to why we, you know, held that other game in such high regard. If you know about either one of these games, please let me know your thoughts on them. You know, if you had some days where, you know, you're having a great time playing Skate or Die or 720, or if you know how to do the half pipe, you know, even link a clip of you playing the game and doing the half pipes. I would love to see it just to see what the tricks are, because like I said, the only person I knew who could really do it is my brother Ron, and you know, that was his thing. He just knew how to do the half pipe modes. But either way, I really appreciate you letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.